This video is brought to you by Nokian Tires, a leader in safety and sustainability. Maximize performance and efficiency with their made in USA all-season tires and their dedicated Hakkapeliitta EV winter line from the inventor of the winter tire. Learn more at nokiantire.com/EV. This video is also brought to you by Magna, forward for all.
Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video, and welcome to the Netherlands. I'm somewhere just south of Amsterdam, and you join me at a version 4 Supercharger for the first time. You and I have been to charging stations all around the world together. As I always say, we're always on the hunt for the coolest chargers, and now one of the most popular charging networks just got some new hardware, and that's what we're digging into today. We are looking at the new version 4 Supercharger dispenser. Now, you may have noticed I just said dispenser. The reason is, well, I'll explain the reason in this video. It's really, there's a lot of changes here. There's a lot to get into, a lot of technical details, but I am going to basically showcase the pros and some of the cons with the new setup and what I expect to see in the future as well. I've also brought along a BMW iX that has the charge port in the wrong side. This is the car that I've rented from Sixt and I've been driving all week here in Europe. It's been absolutely awesome. And yeah, so this will be interesting to see if the longer cables charge this car, so no more cable gate. We have so much to get into with the version 4 chargers. Let me first start by walking you through the entire site layout and design, and then we'll get into the charging hardware, and then lastly, we'll focus on the new part, which is the new version 4 dispenser. So this is a supercharging location just north of Eindhoven. We're about 1 hour southeast of Amsterdam, and this is one of 3 or 4 version 4 locations that just came online. You'll notice some of the stations still have bags over them. Like, for example, this whole row is not turned on yet. I guess it's being turned on in stages, and it's actually at a hotel. It's pretty far off the highway. Well, maybe there's another highway there, but it just seems like a weird location. Very nice one though. This is freaking awesome. What's also cool is this is open to the public, so every electric vehicle is able to charge here that has a CCS port. And yeah, I believe that some of these are turned on. Anyway, I'll look in the app and we'll see what we can and can't do. But first things first is I don't want to talk about the new V4 stuff. I want to just explain to you what we've seen from version 4 superchargers so far. Now, if you're a follower of the Out of Spec podcast, and you should be because we talk a lot about charging topics on that particular one, you will have noticed that I already mentioned and did a whole video on what is actually new here with this particular site. But what I want to do is talk about what's old, and what's old is all of this. All of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 supercharging cabinets are unchanged from the version 3 chargers. And so just to give you a quick indication, you can see here, here's the nameplate ratings for everything. It all looks identically the same. If I can have the camera focus over here. The output, only 500 volts. It can't output up to 1,000 volts. All of these things. They still operate on a 800 to 1,000 volt DC bus between the cabinets, because keep in mind, again, these are version 3 chargers. They are 360 kilowatts each. Each one of these feeds a bank of 4 chargers. So in this case, there are 20 stalls at this location. And, you know, let's say there's 4 cars plugged into one ABCD. Of course, you know, you're not going to see huge power limiting in this case, because it can actually take power from the other chargers and feed it into this one, which then goes to 1 A, B, C, and D on the post. So they do site level power sharing through a DC bus between these cabinets. Each cabinet can produce, again, about 360 kilowatts. And in addition, it can take in about 575 kilowatts from the other chargers combined. So they really can get almost 250 kilowatt per port, assuming no one else is on the rest of the site. Very rarely, but it does happen, you will notice some derated charging at version 3 superchargers, and then you'll like see someone unplug and your car will jump up a little bit. It really only happens on busy times and busy days. today. However, I think with the Tesla Supercharger network opening up, especially in America, we're going to see these power limitations happen more often. Think Silverado EV, Rivian, potentially Cybertruck, all these big batteries that people drive in the US, these big vehicles with big batteries, they sit at full power for a really long time. And I think that's going to lead to some site level power limiting or some derating based off of this setup. So I'm hoping that when they upgrade the chargers to version 4, there will be a way to increase site throughput, increase total power capacity. There's some other ideas potentially that you can do just with this setup. They can install another row of chargers, for example, and just add them as additional power. They don't necessarily need to be linked to a particular stall because, again, they can input boosted, up to 575 kilowatts extra. So honestly, with this whole site, they could just add 1 or 2 more charging cabinets, and that could really limit this. What I don't know what it is or what this is, what am I trying to say? I don't know what the heck this is. This is just here. Is it a version 4 charger? I don't know, because you'll notice it seems to be roughly smaller than the version 3 cabinet. Is it the same or is it smaller? No, it definitely seems smaller than these. So why is it just here? And who has a forklift so we can steal it? Because I'd love to tear this thing open. And what is the plan? Because the site kind of seems half open or half closed, could this be the first version 4 charger? I don't know. I really don't know what this is, truly. And I'm not about to go rip this off because I'm not sure if that's legal. I'm guessing it's not legal to go and, destroy other people's property. But I would love to know what's under this one right here. It just says it's from Tesla Energy. And yeah, pretty cool. Contact your Tesla project engineer to arrange return shipping for large quantities of covers. Now it looks dirty. It may have been placed here for a while. I'm not sure what's going on with this one, but either way, there does seem to be some problem. And it definitely does not seem nearly as big. Or maybe I'm just going insane, but it definitely seems smaller than the version 3 chargers just over here. I don't know. Could be the same, could be different. Either way, let's continue. So we all get the right idea. The charging is unchanged. The only thing new here are the dispensers. So that's where I want to focus the time on this video. It's operating the chargers, it's talking about the activation, talking about the cable length, and all of the above. So all of this is brand freaking new. So I'm going to load up the Tesla app, see which one of these are online and available to charge a non-Tesla vehicle, and then I'm going to pull my iX over and we're going to charge one. So let's freaking do this. Well, with this plane coming in for landing, we are about to plug in our iX. This whole row, 1A, B, C, and D are offline, but 2B is working, even though 2A is covered. I really don't understand what's going on with this site, but I suspect it has something to do with that cabinet over there not functioning. I really don't know. I think this might be the first day this site is opened, or it may not even be open. You can see some of the bricks around here aren't fully finished. Landscaping's not done. There's a lot of work to be done here for sure. The first thing is, will the cable reach? Cablegate is the first test here. You'll notice, I actually thought they were going to be installing the superchargers in the center of the parking space. That was my impression when I first saw the version 4 charger, or the dispenser, excuse me, that was installed in Hardvik. I don't really know how to say it, but just about 1.5 hours north of here was the first V4 charger. This is, again, one of the early sites, first 10 in the world, something like that, first 15. But you'll notice they're actually offset. They're in the same position as the version 3 charger would have been, because again, the Tesla charge port's in the back left of the vehicle. You can see there on the Model X. And if I look on this side, certain chargers are in the center of the spot. Like 4D here is more centrally located, whereas 5A is as well. And so, yeah, these all seem to be centrally located within the parking spaces. Definitely still offset, but maybe not as aggressively as before. I don't know. Okay, so this is the big thing. We pulled into a charging location with a big car with the charge port in the quote unquote wrong place. In my impression, there's no right or wrong. It's just that's the charge port, but it's easy to say wrong when the Tesla is designed for their own vehicles. And these version 4 chargers are designed to or what am I trying to say? They're designed to charge any electric vehicle because, of course, Tesla knew they were opening the network to everyone when they were designing these. So the first thing is, let's see if the cable reaches. By the way, really nice cable, really nice connector. In the US, these will be NACs. I'm actually going to go check one out soon. And a very long cable, so you could easily get one down like for a F-150 Lightning or a Taycan or something, because Taycan, if you nose it is in the front passenger side, and it's way the heck back here, and that's not going to be a problem at all. These cables, by the way, I believe, we'll have to look at the rating, are 650 amp nameplate rated cables, and they are immersion cooled. So for having significantly higher power capacity than the like typical, you know, EA or EVgo Huber Schuner cables, it's heavy for sure, but it's still so much lighter than those. The best example I can give you is it feels like a version 2 supercharging cable just extended all the way. So again, it's not like I backed up super close or anything. I'm just in the spot normally, and I'm going to one-handed insert that into the car. You could not do that with a typical Phoenix Contact Huber Schuner REMA 500 amp cable. This is a Tesla 650 amp nameplate rated cable, and I just one-handed it into the car. It's pretty chilly outside as well, so you know, as temperatures get colder, the cables get stiffer, and we are in. How about that? Now, the next thing that I want to talk about with the version 4 dispenser is there is now a payment terminal on the side. So before, this screen was off, and actually this screen is still off, is my impression. Yeah, I can't get this screen to turn on. It could be that it's just not totally functional yet. I should take a look at the chargers down there where those people are charging. I don't want to bug them too much, but let's just see what happens if I tap my card here somewhere. Will it allow a charge? I don't think so. I think I have to activate it with the Tesla app because this one is not fully functional yet. So yeah, the iX hasn't woken up. It doesn't think it's being charged. So I'm going to activate this with the charger. I have the iX fully preconditioned, ready to get all the juice possible. We're at 13% state of charge. So let me remotely activate this session through the Tesla app. I'll show you how that works, and then we'll go. So what I've done is I've loaded up the Tesla app. I selected this location. It shows a whole bunch of chargers offline, which is what we already knew. It's honestly pretty typical for a new supercharging station to be like half commissioned. And then I've activated the charger. And right here you can see we are ramping up. Now, normally the BMW iX would give an indication when the charger is the limiting factor. It would give us some gray dots. And here it is, just delivering absolutely everything the car wants. The iX typically requests about 500 amps, maybe slightly under 450 amps, something like that. That's probably what it's getting now. And it's not indicating that the charger is the limitation at all. So again, I really wanted to bring a faster charging car here, but it's doing 180 kilowatts at 14%. The car will peak at just over 200 kilowatts. And I'm just going to let it full charge on this one. Really not expensive, only about 36 cents per kilowatt hour, 36 euro cents per kilowatt hour, something like that. Interesting that the screen is offline on the side. My understanding is as part of this version 4 upgrade, you'll be able to interact with the screen, tap your credit card, and go. You can see the XC40 Recharge owner is trying to figure out which stall can they back into and go to. Well, while the iX is charging, I want to see if I hear any noises. There's definitely some fans here on the bottom of the V4 making some noise. And I can feel a slight pumping into the cable. So it's being actively cooled, which is neat. But yeah, really quiet dispenser, everything working great. Just a tiny bit of cooling fluid coming through. And yeah, no major issues. Let's head over this way. I want to show you some of the nameplate rating on this charger. I think they really just have to finish the site. It's so cool. And everyone here is early. And this one just says kaput. I love it. Doesn't work. Okay, we know. I'm not sure if that was Tesla or someone else, but yeah, these are the things you get when you film at an early charging station. So let's come over here and let's look at the numbers, because I want to explain and also soak these in for myself as well. So looking up here on the side, we have some numbers right up here that are interesting for sure, right over here. And I'm just gonna zoom in on those. So you will see, and forgive me for the filming because I'm trying to look at these really close numbers. It will say voltage, DC voltage from 200 to 1,000 volts. We knew that. So that does not mean that the charger can output 1,000 volts. Again, this is the dispenser, so we already know it's future-proof to charge Cybertruck natively. It's future-proof to charge Lucid natively without the need of an onboard booster. They just have to upgrade the cabinets. And I'll talk about what I want to see them do in the future to support all of these cars. But that's great to see that they're supporting 1,000 volts. You can see that the current range, that would be the amperage, is from 5 to 1,000 amps. This is the first 1,000 amp rated dispenser I have ever seen. That is twice as fast as the next fastest charger in terms of current output in the US. The next publicly available fastest charger in the US would be the Delta 350 kilowatt charger that EVgo uses, because keep in mind, if we're talking about publicly accessible, Magic Dock also falls into that, but Magic Dock's limited to 350 amps unless you charge it into another Tesla, which it ignores the Magic Dock at that point. So that is fascinating. Next up, we have pulse constant, we have auxiliary supply, we have accuracy class index is 2A, and the MMQ is 0.4 kilowatt hours. So really, really, really interesting stuff. And a similar rating over here. This is on the cable side. You'll see 615 amps, rated duty cycle 100%, although sometimes Tesla does push them past that. You will see the operating temperature is -30 to +50 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure if that's for the cable or the charger. I'm guessing the dispenser could be a cable thing as well, because cables are filled with coolant. And so, yeah. So, but of course they'll operate beyond those limits. That's just when they'll start to derate. And yeah, there's the rainproof warning right there. So IP54. Manufacturer Tesla Inc., Buffalo, New York. Importer is Tesla Motors, Netherlands. So of course we're in the Netherlands. I believe all of them in Europe will come through Tesla Motors Netherlands, and that will be that. So now you've seen the dispenser, we've charged it, the cable length is great. I wish the screens on the side were working, but I'm just really impressed overall with the added flexibility and the added power in the future that this can add. The thing is, they're just not as good looking as the V3. And they're certainly not as user-friendly as the version 3 dispensers. The version 3s had the really thin cables, the short cables, the small, they were so nice and easy, and they looked really cool. This certainly doesn't. This is just a white box. And you can see even this Model X Plaid owner over here was a little bit confused. The XC40 owner is a little bit confused. This is what you get when a charger first opens. It's all a little bit hectic. That's also why I wanted to come to this one, because I knew it was going to be slightly interesting. I actually thought no one would be here, but such is life. We're all here. So let me share what I would like to see improvements wise, and then we'll wrap up this video. My first time ever charging on a V4. Before we do that, let's just double check our charging speeds. And yeah, really loving the cable length here. This is great, great stuff. Wish the screens worked on these ones. And yeah, still ripping along, and you'll notice it's the BMW. It is not the charger because we don't have any gray bars here. So the BMW is getting everything it wants, no question. And I think the reason it was limiting there slightly, they do this sometimes because I'm in the guest profile of the car. I have to go charge. I don't know why this is the default. Fan loudness unrestricted. Then will give us the shortest charging time. Just weird thermal stuff here. It's not bad, but when you own the car, you can set it and it will always remember. But because I'm in a guest profile, I don't know, kind of annoying. So there we are, charging on a version 4 supercharger for the first time. And by supercharger, I really mean dispenser, not so much the actual charger itself. So here are my thoughts so far. I think this is a needed upgrade. The version 3 cables were just too short, even for some Teslas like Cybertruck, like they were having to stretch those things over. So I expect to see pretty much only version 4 posts going in pretty much around the world from this point forward. I actually stopped at one of these yesterday in Germany. Oh no, the XC40 owner still having trouble moving stalls. because things are pretty bad here at the beginning. So yeah, this is where like, what's going to happen when Tesla opens up to all the other cars? Is the XC40 owners experience going to be what they have, where they constantly move stalls, or maybe they don't realize that they have to use the Tesla app to activate because the tap to card doesn't work? I don't know, but he definitely looks confusion. It's all pretty interesting. Right after I'm done filming, if he can't figure it out, I'm going to help him get charging. Yeah, and even the Model X Plaid owner can't get charging. He's moving stalls and moving stalls. So they really need to get this site operational, because if it's not fully functional, just don't say it's online. Don't send people here if it's not good to go. Okay, so version 4 posts were needed. I think the design is maybe not so great. It's definitely okay, but it's not as nice as the version 3. The cables are certainly not as easy to use as the version 3, and certainly not as, I would say, simple and without problems as before. So yeah, especially without problems at this particular site, but I'm just watching everyone just look confused because the guy next to me apparently can't charge either. Man, this is kind of hectic. I got to go talk to all these people. But here's the final. Bigger cables, higher current ratings on the dispenser. The chargers are still the limitation. There will be no difference in charging power between version 3 and version 4. They really need to show and to upgrade the chargers, I think, for site level power distribution, but also need to upgrade the chargers for overall higher voltage. And it's possible where they can maybe even link 2 cabinets together and feed one post, sort of double the voltage. Maybe they can get creative on the back end. For example, if the chargers are not capable of outputting more than 500 volts for one charger, maybe they can combine 2 and step up the voltage. I mean, there's so many different ideas, but I think it's going to be needed for Cybertruck and, of course, for Hyundai, Kia, Genesis vehicles and others that have agreed to use the supercharger network natively with the NACS port. So that's my biggest request, is high voltage. Now that you got the long cables, the juicy cables, these cables are nice. I can't wait to see what they're like with the NACS port. I can't wait to charge a vehicle with the Magic Dock on a version 4, which all of them so far seem to have built-in Magic Dock. I don't know if that's limited to 350 amps or if that will do 500 plus amps with the version 4 dispenser. Still some unknowns, but version 4, at least in the Netherlands, they are online, they are working, they're charging. I believe also in the UK, they're online working and charging. In Germany, not so much, because they're still waiting on regulatory approval for the actual meter inside the unit. So I think there's 5 or 6 version 4 sites ready to go live in Germany, but you're waiting on the overseeing government body to approve the meter before they allow Tesla to charge vehicles. That's just my understanding. So very cool experience here in the Netherlands. Can't thank you guys enough for watching. I was really happy. I took a car with the charge port in the wrong side to charge on these. And of course, the charging performance or experience is really no different than before, other than when we plug in. Now, when I'm back in the US, I expect to look at the screens a little bit more closely. I expect to try the Magic Dock to see those limitations. And there's so much more to test here. But this is my first time charging at a version 4 supercharger, at least on the dispenser. So I can't thank you enough for watching this video. See you in another one soon. Bye-bye. There were just 2 more points that I wanted to discuss before we end the video. Sorry for the wind in this clip. I'm not using mics. The first is when you go to grab the cable, it gets hung up on the bottom down here. You can see you have to pull the cable left and then over. So this is maybe not the best solution, I think. Where if it's sitting directly in the holster and you pull it every time, it gets hung up. The second is you can actually put the cable back on the wrong side of the charger. You can, hang it up this way, which I don't think many people are going to do, but it still works and latches just fine by wrapping it on the other side. Could just be a slight annoyance, especially at sites that maybe they put them front to back. Those would be really the only 2 things. I'm just doing some charge testing on the LFP3, so stay tuned for those videos. We got a plane coming in. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.